Hey Leo, welcome to Get Life 333 Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me. I have to tell you guys, this is my third time trying to tape this. I don't know why, but I'm feeling really anxious about this energy with you guys. And yeah, just during my pre-shuffle and my meditation, just such a feeling of almost a scattered energy right now. So anyway, let's just get into it. I'm going to be doing a full spread for you guys. This is going to be a full spread for the Pluto Conjunct South Node for you guys. So just so you know where this is happening in your chart. For those of you who are really not interested in what's happening in the astrology portion, you can certainly fast forward to where you see me addressing the cards on the table. So I'm just going to be pulling the cards as I speak, if that's okay. So first of all, I do like the full spread because the full contains an element from each of the cards in it. And also my opinion and the opinion of, I'm sorry, this is like my sage. I smudged my sage. And, the full number is 0, but, you know, myself and a number of tarot teachers believe that this should actually be the number 22 because it really is such a symbol of beginnings, endings, and beginnings, right? So I just thought that was a really appropriate foundational card to have as the overall energy. Okay, but let's talk about what's going on with you. Well, guys, I mean, let's just talk about the fact that we have a new moon in Aries of 15 degrees on Friday. So that right there is a lot. This is the first new moon of the astrological new year. So that right there increases our level of intensity of this energy. But then we have this issue with Pluto, which is going to be trying to get us to let go of things. So Pluto is going to be sitting conjunct with the South Node and Saturn. So this is a really, really intense energy. This is the deconstruction of what is right now in our lives. Like right now, up to this point. And this is literally hitting on Monday. So you're going to be noticing a very distinct shift in the energies next week. But yeah, deconstruction of, you know, of what is right now in your life. It's going to be focusing on areas that have been oppressive and in areas where you have felt repressed, where you felt held back in your life. Yeah, and things that are ultimately detrimental for you, you know, and your ultimate happiness and where you're supposed to really end up in your life. So, Leo, for you, this is happening in your 6th house of work, health, and service. So, this is your day-to-day stuff, your day-to-day patterns and experiences. You know, they've all become very restricting for you. Your health is getting in the way of you living exactly as you want. Now, this could be your physical health. This could be your mental health. This could be, you know, if you struggle with depression, anxiety, so forth, or it could be, you know, maybe your weight or maybe some sort of illness that you've been struggling with, but it's been getting in the way of you living your life exactly as you want. And this energy calls for you to look at what makes those things up. Okay, so you really want to look at what you believe to be true for yourself, what you have control over, what you don't, your morals, your willingness and ability to learn, to grow as an individual. But you've just been feeling so held back. So it's not like you haven't recognized these things, you have. And you've been getting poked at, you know, metaphorically, right? Spiritually, been getting poked at that you know that things just don't feel right. But let me just hold on until this time period is over. And let me just hold on until that's done or something like that. So what you guys are dealing with a couple of things. You're dealing with Jupiter retrograde in your 5th house of pleasure in the month of April, which is going to be helping you to redefine what you do for pleasure in a way of serving your higher good. You know, like, so you might need to revisit what you do for pleasure. Like maybe you're a hermit, you never go out. You're going to have to look at that. Maybe you're drinking too much, just partying, or retail therapies, spending too much money, or just making yourself get lost in things that just make you feel good for the moment, but don't ultimately serve you. So Jupiter's really going to be making you look at this stuff on top of Pluto being conjunct with the South Node and Saturn, which is going to be forcing you to look at how you work your everyday. So this whole thing is going to require you taking an honest and hard look at where you feel restricted and why. Why do you feel restricted? Which part are you responsible for? And which part are you allowing to be perpetuated in your life? What power are you giving to other people? What power within yourself are you not tapping into? And what issues might you be nursing from a much earlier part of your life that you just don't want to look at? Because Leo, we have to call it as it is. I have so many Leos in my life that I love. This is not me hating on Leos at all. But Leos, you guys do tend to have very, very strong egos. And that can really serve you so well in your life. But when it comes to being really like dead ass honest with yourself as to why you do what you do, what makes you tick, it requires you putting your ego on a shelf and digging to the bottom of the barrel and really digging up the shit from your childhood. Really looking at, how did your mother speak to you? How did your father speak to you? Did you feel heard? Did you feel discounted? How were you treated? Why do you feel like you need to hold on to your ego so much? Who made you feel bad along the way? Or maybe who treated you a little too, who blew smoke up your ass too much to give you an inflated sense of self? And keeping it real, these are things that can inflect our ego and how we do things. That's not your fault, right? It could be from a very loving, well-intended relative. Okay, but we carry these things into our lives and they inflect how we do relationship, how we do work, how we do friendships. So we really need to be honest and not look at everybody on the outside around us and all of their issues. This is a time for us to take, for you guys to take a really hardcore look at yourself and what makes you guys think, you know, tick and work day to day. And what steps do you have to put in place to change these things? Because it's going to be much easier if you do it. You don't want Saturn going in and doing it for you, because that's just not comfortable, I can tell you right now. And the result of all of this hard work that you're going to be doing, you know, internally, is a happier life, living more in alignment with who you really are. And I know people flip that term around, alignment, manifestation, and all of this stuff in the spiritual community. What does that mean? That means living a life where your soul and your external life are jiving. You know what I mean? Where you're involved in relationships and in activities that give you a good feeling on a soul level. Maybe not every day, because that's unrealistic. But generally, overall, you feel really, really solid in how it speaks to you and how it feeds you. And no more doing things because society thinks it might look good, or because your family thinks it might be good for you, or because you think it would be good for you, but meanwhile, it's not speaking to your soul. So you're going to be looking at all of this. But all of that said, let's get into what's happening on the mundane level, on the everyday that you might be dealing with. And because this is where it begins, right? It's not like, I could tell you right now, Pluto and even Jupiter, but Pluto and Saturn and Jupiter, they're not going to knock on your front door or ring your bell and say, okay, come on, it's time to do work. This is stuff that you have to start on your own. And I think, in my experience, really looking at the mundane, the everyday, is a great place to start. So let's get right into your crowning energy, which is Truth Be Told. Okay, so Truth Be Told is a great card for you guys right now. This is just indicating that you have incredible stuff right ahead of you, you know. You've worked really, really hard and you've acted upon your unwavering belief in abundance, and suddenly you're going to find that in the midst of all of this growth and all of this internal work that you're doing, you're going to hit the jackpot. And what does that mean? That doesn't mean that you're actually going to hit the lottery, obviously, right? But you're suddenly going to be like, oh my God, like, yes, this is what my life was missing. This is where I'm supposed to be going. Yes, because it's through this change that this better and truer version of where you're supposed to be is going to come upon you, you know? But you just have to be able to identify what is a really good, solid opportunity, you know, because sometimes things that don't seem like solid opportunities that are presented to us, they might seem like nothing, but they can end up actually being a really terrific thing for us. So just pay attention to everything right now, for sure. And Leo, this does indicate too that you guys have been in a space of poverty consciousness and a sense of like not enough cast on your path in your life, your everyday life. And when I say poverty consciousness, I don't mean only like money, okay? Because for some of you it might be money, but for others of you it might be more about like you know, just not feeling fulfilled, you know, in your job, just really wanting to like your job, but you just don't like your job, or just really wanting to be happy in your relationship, but just not feeling happy. And you're like, I don't really feel happy in any relationship. Like, what is my story here? You know, I feel temporary happiness, but it's not feeding my soul. So this is something that you need to focus on, because these ideas and core beliefs come at a high cost. You know, you really don't want to proclaim yourself as a victim of disappointment and failed expectations in your life, right? At the end of your road, you don't want to reflect on yourself like that. So are you avoiding success because you'll grow too tall, that others will want to cut you down? Or is it possible that you're caught in a fear? You know, just, it's like a fear that you will lose what you've acquired or what you do have. So you hold on really, really tight, but that ends up making you miss opportunities that are presented to you for expansion. So you're just challenged to change the way you see the world right now, from a perception of limitations to a perception of abundance. You know, so you have to take a risk. You have nothing to lose except breaking yourself free from feeling all of these restrictions, you know? All right, so that's the overarching energy here. And what I love about it is the ultimate message is that of abundance, and that's awesome. So whatever happens here, it's going to all end good, which I knew it was going to anyway, because that's what ends up happening after the Pluto and South Node do their thing. Okay, so position 1 here is you. Okay, this is the situation going on. Page of Cups reversed. So this indicates that you are in some way being manipulative or cunning, or dealing with somebody who is. So be careful to not believe everything you're hearing right now. It might not be reliable. And definitely be discerning about what you hear about other people. It may be really unjust or even slanderous that the person being spoken about is really the product of someone's attempt to make themselves feel better. So Leo, if this is you spreading the gossip, check yourself. And what's motivating that, really? You know, did someone hurt you, or are you reacting to them not acting in ways that you see fit or that you want? So this may be more about your pain and ego than it is about what the other person is actually doing or saying. So, but if this is another person, if this is not you, if you're not doing this gossip, then you are dealing with somebody who is a gossip, who cares very little about the misconceptions being spread. And this person can be very devious and unscrupulous. So just ignore this person's need for attention. Just don't feed the fire, you know? And then we have in your risk position, the 7 of Wands reversed. So you're doubting your purpose right now, Leo. You might be struggling to be heard, and you may have to overcome what seems like constant obstacles. And it's unclear if it's all going to ultimately be worthwhile to you. So it's definitely an anxiety here I'm getting. Absolutely. Just feeling overwhelmed with continuing issues, continuing problems. This is also a time to ask, regarding your relationships, which imperfections does your partner have that you can live with, and which aspects of your partner's attitudes and circumstances can you no longer deal with, like a non-negotiable thing. So you really need to be mindful of that, because, you know, pushing that down into never, never land, down into your subconscious, is not going to work well for you anymore. It's just not. And then we have the gift here, which is the Star reverse. Always a positive card, even if it's in reverse, doesn't matter. But this indicates giving up too easily. If it's in maybe a job, or maybe a project you're on, you're experiencing a creative block. In relationships, this could be giving up too easily emotionally and being blocked from being able to recognize any strategies or approaches to what you can do or try to put in play to help your relationship. So you just may be too attached to an ideal of a job or of a relationship that's not being met. But you have to understand that even starlight is bewitching when you're overlooking the details, right? So, you know, not everything may be what it seems. You have to really look at that ideal that you are envisioning and really pay attention to all the details that would be necessary to actually make that a reality. But anyway, your ideal may not be possible, but this doesn't mean that something incredibly beautiful can't be achieved. So this can be applied to relationships, career, even your health, maybe like losing weight. Alternatively, you may feel lulled into a false sense of security right now in a venture or situation that has no foundation and little chance of success. You know, this could indicate some of you fantasizing about leaving, some of you in your mind or actually physically cheating, but there's some kind of fantasy outside of your reality, whether it's in your mind or whether it's in real time. And you have to just understand that this is a response to you feeling very alone right now. So this feeling alone after all of this is a gift, because the discomfort that this is forcing you into is a space of reevaluating your circumstances and your role in how things have played out and what you've allowed to be perpetuated. And then we have the what you gain out of this, and you have the Knight of Swords. And I know this may not seem like any kind of gain at all, but this is that 3 a.m. card. You're waking up wondering in the small hours of the night, and this just screams anxiety. You may have suffered or be suffering from a physical or mental ailment, some of you from depression or some sort of anxiety, you know, anxiety attacks and such things, resulting in low energy, right? These things can really make our energy really low, or some sort of shock or a buildup of minor stresses. Yeah, Leo, man, when was the last time you had a good night's sleep without assistance, you know? I'm getting a long time. But these external events trigger this initial stress. But the issue now is how you're responding to it. So this is really coloring your usually positive attitude, but this shows the habit of worry. So you may be worrying about inconsequential things, really, that don't warrant so much attention from you, you know? And then the outcome here is the Two of Cups reverse. Okay, so depending on your situation, this can mean different things, but in each case, it definitely indicates relationship stress. So if you just met someone and you just started a new relationship, this indicates things may be turning sour and you're going to feel disappointed. This is asking you to turn up your intuition. There may be a secret you don't know about yet, and this can indicate infidelity. Even though on the surface everything may appear to be ticking along just fine, pay attention to your instincts. There's a reason for your doubt, and it's time to communicate openly about any fears rather than just ignore them. Because if you're in an established relationship, this just shows an unavoidable glitch right now in things due to ongoing stresses and strains, because you guys are just too damn busy in your life, right? And if this is the case, try communicating, because there may just be a lack of understanding between the two of you. Passion might be on hold right now, but it can definitely return, right? So everything that we've discussed here, guys, these are mundane, everyday situations having to do with your work, having to do with your health, having to do with your relationship, and how you engage with other people. So really this says, set up different rooms in your mind. One is going to be your intimate relationships, your family relationships, your family friendships, your health, and your job. And walk into each room and really be honest with yourself. Where are you feeling restricted? Is it coming from you? Is it coming from them? What do you do? What do you have to do to change these circumstances? Because on the other side of this, you have all of this abundance. So this is good stuff, Leo. Really good stuff. Guys, that's what I have for you today. Thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.